Alright, so it's Boruto time. Yep, gotta talk about Boruto. And this chapter was something. I don't know what, but it was something. A lot of information was revealed. We got to see more about what's happening over the time skip, and this is probably not the last time we'll be getting information revealed that happened over the time skip, whether Sasuke talking to Boruto, Boruto talking to Kashin Koji, or any other developments in between. Maybe a flashback with Boruto going out of control over the time skip with Momoshiki. And we can even see him having a conversation with Momoshiki or something like that over the time skip. So let me get right into this chapter, right? It starts off with Boruto, it's a flashback. Kashin Koji's frog finds Boruto and starts talking to him and whatnot, right? So, one of the biggest revelations of this chapter is Kashin Koji being revealed to have the sight, the future sight, basically. He has the ability to see into the future, right? So, before I talk about what I think the problem with his future sight is, let me just go over kind of what it is, okay? So, he starts off by asking Boruto, let me confirm, are you really Boruto Uzumaki even since the day you were born? So, Boruto automatically knows that omnipotence somehow is not having an effect on him, or at least he's seen through it somehow, right? And that's because of his time seeing ability. He's able to see the future, he's able to see the timelines and shit like that. So he's able to see before omnipotence was in effect. He was already reading the future. He was already seeing Boruto as Boruto Uzumaki through the future timeline ability. It's like him watching on screen that, Boruto's events happening. So he already knew about omnipotence. He already knew in the past that someday Boruto wouldn't be Boruto Uzumaki anymore. So the day that happens, in his mind, his memories are overwritten. Or not his memories, but his perception of reality is overwritten. But he still remembers, like 2 years ago, when he was telling himself, like, one day I'm going to start seeing Boruto as not Boruto Uzumaki, but I need to remember that he was a Boruto Uzumaki. So he's confused, but he still remembers that he knows Boruto was a Uzumaki, but he still knows that in his mind, he thinks he's the vessel from the Kara organization and shit. He thinks he's Kawaki. So he had to confirm that. He talks about even back then he saw the potential threat of the Shinju coming to life and the planet possibly being destroyed and all these sorts of things. Like, he knew what happened back then, so he's comparing his past memories, his past visions, right, that he knew that he saw back then to what's really going on now. So he then goes into say, and I'll explain this last part, and then this is going to sprout off to where my problems come into play, right? Because he mentions how about Shibai Otsutsuki. He mentions Shibai Otsutsuki, and he talks about he's the Otsutsuki who devoured countless planets a long time ago, acquired all sorts of Shinjutsu, and was even called a god. Okay, Boruto think he remembers the name. Model then goes into talk about how each of the Kara members were given specifications and given the different abilities from Shibai Otsutsuki. Now, I don't remember if they mentioned how every Kara member had them, but we do know that Amato was able to give out Shibai Otsutsuki's abilities. He had his cells and he was doing it. He's done it multiple times with different creations of his, right? I forget if they told us it was every member of Kara. It might have been implied or hinted at before, so this might not be new, but I don't know that for a fact right now. He goes and explains how Cold's claw marks are a result of that. We knew Damon and Ada's abilities were, but he's talking about how him, Boro, and Delta didn't inherit the abilities because it was like he used cells. He transplanted the Otsutsuki cells, Then he goes into the future possibilities that didn't happen. Boruto and Sarada dying to Kawaki the day that, Kawaki killed Boruto because he turned to Momoshiki and all that sort of shit. Or Ishiki actually killing Naruto, possibly, and then winning that day, taking Kawaki and all that shit turning into a divine tree, the planet would die right there. Okay, the result would always end up basically in the planet dying. They're fighting Otsutsuki, who wants to use the divine tree and shit, right? So that's going to be the main result. He mentions the infinite possibilities of the future, and he even can see the good futures, right? So he's telling Boruto that his ability is useful because he can see the futures of Boruto learning and mastering certain jutsus and impart those jutsus onto him. He tells him he can tell him how to rescue Sasuke. He also sees that in the future, right? He sees Sasuke either being free or he knows the answer to save him. How would he know how to save him, right? He even mentions how right now, just Boruto, the fact that Boruto is aware of this future sight ability, the futures are changing as they speak, and a bunch of different futures are changing. But here, I'm getting closer now to the part where it's going to be problems. I already said a couple problems, but I'll say the last thing is he mentions the way to avoid Boruto dying. He says Boruto, Jorah is going to kill you, okay? And he also mentions how they need to stop Kawaki, because it's the worst possible future that's going to happen with Kawaki if he gains control and makes the Ten Tails sprout off in the way that they're going to sprout off, right? So he's making Boruto aware of these bad futures. So if in the futures that Boruto dies, Kawaki gets devoured and the planet dies following him, right? So I'll start breaking down my problems with this. Since this is the first and major part of the chapter, I'll be talking about this for a minute, right? So they already knew about this, and Kashin Koji did say the likelihood of stopping the Ten Tails people from sprouting would be really low because they barely succeed in all the futures he sees. But my question is, when he says things like this, how come he wouldn't just follow the future that he saw where it worked and tell Boruto everything that happens in that future where it works, so Boruto can then do it, right? So that's one thing. And to go back to something I said earlier, Kashin Koji mentions how he'll look at a future of Boruto where he learned a bunch of techniques and mastered them, and he'll just relay them to him, and that how there's no paradox involved, because this is just a simple procedure with the skill that he's using. He's just looking at it and relaying the information to him. There's no paradox involved. My problem with that is I feel like they mentioned the involvement of a paradox to try to trick people, because this kind of does create a potential paradox, right? And you might say, how does that create a paradox? Well, let me explain. With Kashin Koji seeing a future of infinite possibilities, so this one possible timeline or one possible future where Boruto has mastered these skills, that creates too many questions now. When did he master these skills in that timeline? Was it after the 2-year time skip when the Ten Tails people are already walking around? Did he just like hide in a cave and let all his friends and family die until he mastered these skills? Or is this a timeline where none of this shit had to happen in the first place, right? Maybe Kawaki and Boruto killed Code in the forest that day. Code died in the forest and he was never able to do anything with the Ten Tails. So maybe Boruto and Kawaki grew up since that day. Maybe that's a potential timeline where none of this shit happened, right? Maybe Naruto handled everything. What timeline is this? Is this a timeline where none of the dangers happened? This is a Boruto who had time to grow and mature with no pressure? Or is it a timeline that's sprouting off of the current events already, since the omnipotence happened? And that wouldn't make sense, though, because if he has to speed run these techniques that he's going to learn years later, and that it takes a long time for him to master, and he has to teach them all to him now, then where would he and who would he have learned them from without Kashin Koji seeing a future with him learning them? And in that future that he saw, who did he originally learn these jutsus from? How did he learn them, and where did he learn them? How much time did it take? Because the paradox would be Kashin Koji taught Boruto these moves that he saw him using in the future, but Boruto learned these moves in the future because Kashin Koji taught him how to use them. But how would he teach him to use them if he didn't see them learning them? And how would he learn them if Kashin Koji didn't see him? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who did Kashin Koji see Boruto, like what Boruto did Kashin Koji see that learned moves from who? You know, this doesn't make any sense. Because for Boruto to have learned the moves in any of the possible futures now, it would be because Kashin Koji taught them to him from a future. But if Kashin Koji didn't teach him to him in the past, then what future would he know these moves? And where did he learn them? Flying Rajing, who taught him that? And how long did it take for him to master that without Kashin Koji just speed running it for him? Yeah, Boruto's a genius. He cut the move short and made his own version of it and all that. But who taught him these moves? Where we know that Kashin Koji can't only see the future of himself and people near him, because he was nowhere near Boruto. And seeing the future of Boruto and the Hokage and all these other events, right? So maybe he saw somebody else's future. Maybe he's just lying to Boruto, and this isn't Boruto's future. This is maybe somebody else's. Maybe these are all of Himawari's future abilities. Who knows? I'm sure he had to have seen Himawari inherit the Nine Tails, right? So there's a lot of things he had to have seen that, like, if Boruto's surprised at some things, then he shouldn't be. But maybe if he is, the writing excuse would be that, Kashin Koji just didn't tell him that. He didn't look at that. You know, he didn't feel like that was important to look at or even let Boruto know. Okay, that's a problem there too. Another big problem is for Kashin Koji to even have this ability, it just woke up conveniently, right? And how did Amato get Otsutsuki cells from an ancient Otsutsuki who doesn't exist anymore, who was alive way before Kaguya? Okay, Kaguya was sealed on the moon. Where the fuck is he getting these Otsutsuki cells from? Who is he getting them from? Is he finding people who have traces, small traces of Otsutsuki in them from super far back, and he's like splicing their cells up or some shit? Like, where is he getting this from, right? So that's another big question that they'll never answer, because they never answered it in the first part of Boruto either. These were questions before, like, where is he getting Jiraiya's cells from? They could have showed that. They could have showed him going on a trip to the Hidden Rain Village, right? They don't talk about that sort of shit. Now, I know I talked about predictability before in Boruto, right? So Kashin Koji's paradox, or potential paradox, or that him just having that plot point of teaching Boruto moves from the future creates so many questions that might not make sense. Okay, but the answers might not make sense, because he would have to it had to either be a timeline where none of this happened, or a timeline where Boruto successfully has lived through all this, or trained on his own. So if there was a timeline over the 2-year time skip and even after, because it's been 2 years, Boruto showed up, Code is already doing things. The claw grinds were inevitable, apparently, right? They're inevitable. Stopping them was even harder, but they were going to happen. The claw grinds were going to happen anyway. If, since Naruto since Naruto killed Ishiki, the claw grinds were going to happen. So if the claw grinds were already going to happen around the same time they did, how would Boruto have enough time to train while claw grinds are killing the Leaf Village? Okay, I don't want to talk about that too much, but because you can think about it forever. But do you see that question I'm posing? How, if that makes sense to you in the comments, let me know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's either it's not making sense, or he's looking at a timeline where Boruto was able to train before the claw grinds or after, and he successfully survived long enough to train. Okay, maybe he still didn't get killed by Jorah in this timeline. Maybe this is a timeline he didn't die to Jorah. How would this happen? Okay, what circumstances made this timeline happen? How come Kashin Koji just didn't have Boruto follow this timeline to a T? Okay, since this timeline still has to possibly exist, since he said that the paths, other paths get cut off, and that script or storyline basically gets thrown out in the trash. It can't happen anymore. He can still look at those, because he can still look at the potential one with Naruto dying that was avoided, right? Maybe he just remembers looking at it before it was erased. These are questions we need to know, right? We need to know these things. Because now it becomes a paradox of, did he learn the moves because Koji taught him the moves? Or did Koji teach him the moves because Boruto had learned them? And now we need an explanation on how come Boruto, we've seen why Boruto wasn't able to stop Code, because he's trying to talk to him, right? why did Boruto, knowing the future and him already promising he's going to just kill Code and defeat the Ten Tails, why did he still let Code do all this shit? Why did he let him make the claw grinds in the first place? Why did he give him time to do all of that if he already knew this future from the past? Why did he give him time to do this shit? So that going wrong just seems like Kashin Koji either didn't tell Boruto correctly like what to do, or Boruto just failed, right? Because he still let Code make the things, right? It's infinite futures. If he said that was hard to stop, well, how come the one that it was able to stop, he couldn't just follow that? They can't say that he didn't see it. He said that he saw it happen in most of the timelines. So that means if he saw them lose in most of them, that means he had to saw some of them winning. That's why he's even hopeful, right? He's not taking a shot in the dark like, oh, well, I looked at a million timelines, we're losing all of them, but it's all right, bro. There's got to be one that we're winning. No, he's seeing the ones. He knows that they've won in some of them. He knows that Boruto isn't dying to Jura in all of them. He knows that. He said that. But he said it's highly possible. It's a high chance because there's so many of them which are dying. So how come he don't tell him which one he didn't die? Maybe is that the one we're seeing? Did Boruto adjust at the last second because he told him Jorah's going to hit you in the heart? So he told Boruto to move that shit to the left, make it go through your lungs? Like, what the fuck is up? Like, we need to know some answers around that, because they creating this plot point that's going to get it's going to start to get real loose, and they're not going to be specific about certain things. They can do whatever the fuck they want now. I don't think like Boruto, like maybe that's them trying to make him like Naruto, so he's being too lenient. But Boruto trying to be serious, he knows how grave the situation was with the Ten Tails and Code. Why would he still show up and give Code that much of a choice? And he should know that, like, yo, like Boruto, when you pull up, don't ask the nigga no questions. I saw you talking to him in one of the futures, like trying to be all friendly and shit. He's not gonna listen to you. He don't fuck with you. He hates you. Why did he still do that? So that makes kind of some of the decisions that's been happening so far seem kind of stupid if you really think about it. Why did Boruto wait this long to pull up on the Leaf Village? Like, he could have did this yesterday. He could have hunted Code down the day before Code attacked the Leaf. He didn't have to wait for Code to attack the Leaf first. It's just crazy. It's crazy. But that's all I really need to talk about in the chapter. Himawari healed somebody like instantly. Now she can really do that like consciously. She healed Sarada and somebody else, right? She was about to heal Boruto, but they arrested Boruto. So they're gonna probably break the ice, and like Shikamaru's probably gonna talk to Boruto and now act like he didn't know that he's talking to him the whole time. He's gonna pretend like he wasn't talking to him the whole time, and he's gonna probably be the rational thinker and say, well, you know what? As long as Boruto's actually trying to help us, we can make him help us, and then he'll pay for his crimes later. Boruto pretends to agree to that shit, so then now he can walk around the village as like they war criminal, slave soldier. But he's secretly really the Hokage's son trying to bring shit back, right? Himawari. Apparently, we've seen Himawari's reaction to Boruto. She obviously, and she thinks that, well, mind you, everybody knows that their positions are switched. So Boruto's Kawaki. Kawaki is Boruto. He's the Hokage's son, right? In their minds, their names are still the same. Boruto's Boruto, Kawaki, right? But their positions have switched. So in Himawari's mind, Kawaki, Boruto, the guy who her father adopted, they took in, killed her father and her mother in their living room. That's Boruto. That's how Boruto is in her mind, right? That's not her brother. So we now finally got the answer. I was always wondering how Himawari would react next time she saw him, and we know that she just does not give a fuck. She's still like super like, oh, we gotta help him. So they gave her the Naruto softness. Like, she is not mad or even angry or wants to question him, or even like, thinking like, yo, he didn't do that, or she doesn't even want to know why he did this shit. She just tried to heal Boruto, so maybe she'll ask later. We'll see something about that. I feel like Kurama is going to eventually, I forgot if he told her already. I predicted that he will tell her, but I forgot if he said it already. If she doesn't already know that Boruto's really her brother because Kurama told her, then that's going to happen. It's still going to happen eventually. We're going to see that shit. So they arrest Boruto. Hidari is reborn, and I guess he's more aware, or maybe he's just, he knows he's Hadari. I don't know if he always knew he was Hadari, but he's back. Maybe he's learned more now. He's developed more after his rebirth. Who knows? And then the gesture girl, who's with the wood style, the Moege Shinju. She popped off a new soul bulb, which I don't know where it's getting formed at. Right? I thought the soul bulbs and the souls were formed from people who got absorbed by Shinju. If they're not absorbing random people, because this new guy, a new guy who's shown in Kashin Koji's future sight, he saw the full gang. So we know this last guy is going to be that new guy that we got introduced to. So he looks like either Naruto or Abanara clan member, right? He looks like either Naruto or Abanara clan member, like Shino or some shit, right? Or like even Shikamaru, I would say. Who knows what this guy is made from? Because apparently they don't need to just absorb people anymore. Some of the soul bulbs are just forming randomly. I don't think we didn't even see Moege. I think we know that she got absorbed, but we didn't see it happen. So maybe this next person is somebody else we did not see get absorbed somehow, some way. We didn't see him get absorbed, and he just is. Okay, it's a new character. What if they reveal that it's Gaara's son? Because he also kind of looked like him. Like, what if randomly now they want to mention the other villages? Like, I don't know. Like, I still feel like the other villages not being important and not knowing about this shit. It's like a 10-tails threat marching on the planet and an army of claw grinds and shit. Nobody else knowing about this is stupid. It's dumb. It's weird, and it kind of is world breaking. It's world breaking for the plot. Like, but you don't have to think about it, I guess, because they don't want you to. And a lot of people don't even care. They don't care about the writing being iffy or fucked up, right? But for the last 5 minutes of this video, let me talk about the predictability that Boruto has, right? I sat there and talked about Kashin Koji's powers, the good, like not even the good, but I talked about what they were, how it went down in this chapter, and then I said what I think is stupid about them. Now, this power that he has to see the future, it was predictable, okay? There's a lot of stuff that's predictable in this series, and even when we predict the thing that's going to happen, it's not that we're predicting everything around it, how it will happen, and every small minutia and every small nuance of the plot point that's happening, but we know it's going to happen. It's being set up. We knew the Himawari was going to get the Nine Tails some way, shape, or form, right? A lot of people knew that Kwama wasn't going to stay dead. I knew he wasn't going to stay dead. If you know anything about Naruto, even though they don't bring the facts up a lot, like the world just moves forward with a bunch of like gears moving in the background, invisible gears of how things work moving in the background. Like the fact that this whole time Naruto's kids have had Nine Tails blood or chakra inside their blood because they're the sons and daughters of a Jinchuriki like Nine Tails. That's like an invisible plot point, and those gears are moving invisibly in the background, because as a fan you can surmise or guess, oh, since they got whiskers they must have his chakra too, but you don't know that for a fact. You can say that all you want, it can make as much sense as you want because you're paying attention to the story, like, which is true, right? You're paying attention, that's why you can theorize that it would make sense technically based off of how the world works. But since the story doesn't confirm, deny, or tell you these things, they're not even using that plot point yet at all. This whole time it's never been used, and then now it's getting used and being revealed as a thing. Well, yeah, we were right, but we had to find out finally from the story telling us. There's a lot of things that work like that. They're invisible plot points working and rules to the story that we don't know about. So they need to confirm a lot of shit, okay, around certain things before we can just say that the prediction is fact. Because people definitely predicted Kashin Koji's future sight, but not in the same way it got revealed. We didn't know it would be such a heavy plot point. It would be a major and main plot point, because this is why and how Boruto's doing everything he's doing. This is how BlueVortex's storyline is even going to be manipulated and going forward, right? And I have also something else to add on about that. I'll say it later. But so people predicted that. If you don't believe me, this video's from 3 weeks ago, and even before then, especially since the Soul Bulb got announced and Kashin Koji knew about it, especially since that, people heavily leaned on, okay, yeah, he's got to see the future or some shit, or he's from the future, right? He's either from the future or he's got to be able to see it. Or even before then, the soul bulb, him just knowing all this information that he was like hinting at, because we knew that he was working with Boruto earlier, right? Since we saw the frogs, that wasn't a secret. Another prediction we knew before the time skip, that Kashin Koji would probably train Boruto over a time skip, and that should happen, right? Another prediction. So him knowing all this information led people to believe that he had some sort of jutsu to see the future, or he was either talking to the frog sage that talked about the child of prophecy from Shippuden. Because you can look on, if you don't believe me, search up NC Hammer. NC, not MC, not the letter M like mama, but N like Newports or Nutmeg or Newgrounds, whatever the fuck, I don't know, right? So that type of N. NC Hammer. Type him in, and he made a video 3 weeks ago before this chapter even got leaked, talking about how Kashin Koji can probably see the future because he learned how to master Sage Mode, and the pinnacle of Sage Mode would be the Frog Sage that is talking about the Child of Prophecy, right? So he been said he had a Frog Sage jutsu to let him see the future. A lot of people were making fan theories about that, and even before Kashin Koji, people would heavily make predictions that Boruto's eye would let him see the future, and that's why he was able to predict everything and move so flawlessly. And he was sitting there, he knew about the claw grinds, he knew everything, he knew about what would happen if Cole kept doing what he would do. People predicted Boruto could see the future too, like because of his eyesight. Now there's a lot of things that have been predicted in Boruto's story, okay? We knew about Kurama, people knew about Naruto, right? We knew about Himawari, we knew about Sasuke. We didn't know exactly how, we didn't know he would be a tree, but we knew he would be put out of commission, either dead or my personal theory, I thought they would seal him away like he is. I thought they would seal him away similar to Naruto, because even when Naruto was supposed to die, we knew that Kishimoto's not going to kill him. We all thought they was going to nerf him so hard that he won't be able to participate in the story anymore. So it's like he's pretty much dead as a character. He can't fight in any of the fights. That gives it to the younger characters, right? They got power now, but he got sealed away too. They changed the status up. So now Sasuke and Naruto are in the same stasis treatment. They got the same stasis treatment. That's how they write characters out now. We knew Kurama would appear in Himawari at some point. Most never believed he was going to stay dead, even if there was no reason to support that plot point. Because the story wants you to think he was dead. They never said opposite. They only said he was dead. So there was no logical reason, based off of the story, to think that he would come back. There's no hints really. But if you knew about Naruto's world, period, you would know that chakra doesn't die or disappear like matter, right? And a lot of fans, just felt like, no, they're gonna try to bring him back. It's just that gut feeling, like, fuck whatever the story's telling us. Nah, there's no way they're just gonna keep him dead. So I was one of those in that boat too, right? But I think something, I don't think I've heard this too much before, and I'm definitely thinking it strongly now. I'll say it now this time, because I did not make the Kashin Koji video like I wanted to. I wanted to talk about that. I would have mentioned future sight as a possibility. I wasn't super hard on it and struck on it. That sounds nasty, but I wasn't like, that wasn't 100% what I thought was the truth. But I saw it as a possibility, true, if I'm not lying. It's a fact, A lot of this shit is predictable. But for the last little bit, because this is a long chapter review, you know what I'm going to say? I feel like Boruto, one of Boruto's abilities, because I don't know if he's going to be able to keep up with all this shit happening. Maybe they're going to make everybody else stronger so they all can fight with Boruto and fight all of these Shinju people. Maybe that's going to happen. So there's going to be a team effort. Because, Himawari and Boruto, I feel like, are moving to the foreground of being more important characters, like especially Himawari. She's more important. She's one of the main characters. But Sarada, she's definitely useless as fuck, but she's going to be an important character too. It's like a tri-tagonist situation. She'd be the tri-tagonist, if not the antagonist, the second one. She'd be the tri-tagonist, the third one. Okay, she'd be the third protagonist, basically. The importance, it goes in that order, I guess. Maybe sometimes the importance doesn't have to vary through pro, tri, and duran, but I think she should be more of the tri-tagonist, right? because she will be important, obviously. Her Mangekyo Sharingan is definitely going to be something that's going to be reality warping or breaking or something crazy to where she can fight these Shinju. She's going to be able to keep up with Otsutsuki level threats, or above Otsutsuki level, above basic Otsutsuki, right? We've seen the base Otsutsuki. Kaguya, she wasn't even the strongest one, so she'd be like basic shit. Like the basic level is reality warping, God jutsu on a super huge scale, endless chakra pool that you can't even measure. The Sage Mode chakra sensing, when Naruto tried to sense their chakra, it was like boundless planets of chakra. He couldn't even sense it. He got scared. Kurama told him, "Don't you do it, bro. Don't you do it." He did it, and he was like, "I did it," and he almost shit himself. So he's like, fuck it. Like, don't even look at how much chakra they got. That shit don't matter. It's how you use it. You know what I mean? They can throw all that chakra on all they want. It don't matter. We got precision and shit. We got techniques and jutsu. So I feel like they might make that come into play here. Even though these dudes are smart as fuck, so they can't use that same plot point to defeat the Shinshu, because they're smart. So it wouldn't make sense to do that. They're smart. They got egos. They got personalities. They have intelligence. They're like the size of humans and shit, so they can fight you hand to hand, toe to toe with superhuman strength and shit, right? So it's just different. But I think one of the things that are going to happen is Boruto, somebody else is going to unlock some sort of reality, time manipulation sort of jutsu. And I think the way that would take form, the most safe way it would take form, is Boruto. Boruto might be down and out, right? This might not be the first time he loses. Kashin Koji might see the future is getting worse and worse, and Boruto wanting to be so defiant and so Naruto, so believe it, right? He wants to. That's his character right now. He's Sasuke on the outside. It's outside of appearance, Sasuke and Naruto appearance-wise. He got the blonde hair, but he got the Sasuke ruggedness. He got his jacket. He got the stoic personality, right? But he's Naruto in his heart. So he said even in this chapter, I don't want to kill my bro. I'm going to do anything but that. Fuck all that. Believe it, right? So he's still being Naruto. He's the believe it boy. He's the Vortex boy, right? So I think Boruto, he's going to unlock some sort of dojutsu or shinjutsu, I should say, with his eye. A shinjutsu dojutsu, however the fuck that would come out. A do shinjutsu, right? I feel like he's going to get an eye ability with that eye that he has that allows him to go between different future timelines. And I'm not saying he's going to pop up and there's going to be another Boruto and he's basically traveling to a different timeline universe, so the timeline he goes from is going to be left behind and still existing. He's just leaving that to be doomed and fated to die. No, I'm saying that because the time is one linear timeline. Those are just possibilities. I feel like he's going to be able to narrow. He's going to be able to merge one of the possible timelines into the one he's in. So if something's about to fuck up, he's going to be able to use his eye ability, and then he is going to seamlessly just like pop up. He's going to see everything around him is going to change, and now he's in a different timeline possibility. Whether that means he's in a different place, or in the fight that he's in right now, a different thing is happening. So maybe like he's about to get stabbed in his chest, and he uses the dojutsu. Instead of him about to get stabbed in the chest, now the reality changes to a better future. You know what I mean? He's picking futures to go to now to change shit up. Maybe he can rewind time a little bit. He could try again. So now he's fucking all the timelines up. He rewinds time, and he can only do it once in a tough spot. So he rewinds time so he can like do everything over. He knows what's going to happen that day. So now it's like a re-zero or re-situation. I feel like it's going to be something like that, bro. He's going to have some sort of ability to pick out and selectively do shit. If not Sarada. If Sarada doesn't rewind time because she sees Boruto dies, and if she doesn't do it, then yeah, Boruto's going to be hopping into different timelines, and Kashin Koji is going to be waiting for him in each timeline. Like, alright, bro, fuck it, let's try again. Like, you fucked up over there, but over there is here now. Because now this is the new main timeline that's happening. The other one, it's not that you left it to doom, it just doesn't exist, it never happened. That's not what's happening anymore. Currently what's happening and what always was happening is the new timeline he shifted it to, right? So it's going to be some shit like that, I feel, maybe. Or either some simply rewind in time, like Bites the Dust. If you watch JoJo, Bites the Dust. He's going to bite the dust on these niggas and rewind time so he can keep trying to win. And he's going to keep struggling with time and shit. Because even with Kawaki, I feel like the infinite possibility thing is going to come into play, because I feel like with all these other situations, there's going to be a big story point. With all these other situations, there are so many infinite possibilities of Boruto winning and dying, and this person doing this, and Naruto winning, or this and that, and blah blah blah. And all these things can happen. He can save people. If he sees mad futures with Sarada dying, he can save her, because there's one out of these infinite possibilities. There's one where she doesn't die. Boruto can achieve that shit, right? And even if the jutsu I'm saying that he might have, even if that, that shit aside, just Kashin Koji with his ability to see the future. We're talking about just that now, right? Even with the ability I mentioned aside, Boruto is going to be able to save people with Kashin Koji's help, because he's going to be able to avoid certain futures. I feel like the one future he's not going to be able to, going to be like a whole thing. Like, yo, it just doesn't matter what. Like, you just like this, ain't you, nigga? Like, you just like this. Like, he might kill them both. I don't know what the fuck going to happen, man. But or they make it seem like this is no other possible future, but then Boruto, like the shonen protagonist he is, breaks through that impossible future, like Tony Stark. But yeah, this is gonna be the end of the video. I'm not trying to have a 40-minute long Boruto talking discussion. That's crazy. I'm gonna leave it here. Leave a like, subscribe if you made it this far, if you like the theories, if you like the talking points, and all that sort of shit. Give me a sub. I'm trying to get to 100. But I'm gonna start making videos more frequently now. Instead of like videos weeks, almost a month apart, you're gonna see at least like 4 videos, 5 videos a month, or from each different topic, hopefully. So you'll see like 2 Boruto videos, 3 One Piece videos, 4 of these. You know what I mean? It's gonna stack up. But I'm out. See y'all.